Auston Matthews makes history. The Leafs have a future netminder playing overseas, and we see a shake in the lines for Monday's matchup against the Chicago Blackhawks. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Hattrick HQ. But before we get into that, we just want to say, if you're one of the thousands of people watching that aren't subscribed, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, become a part of the Hattrick HQ community, and me and Mark will be here all season long to keep you up to date on what's going on around the league and with the Leafs. But with that said, let's get right into the first topic here. That is the Leafs' future netminder. And as we take a look at a tweet here from Kyle Cushman, he says Artur Akhtiamov stopped 29 of 31 shots in a 3-2 overtime win against Amur Khabarovsk. Today, as we take a look at his KHL stats, he had 10 games played so far this season with a 6-2-1 win record, a 9.37 save percentage, and a 2.10 goals against average. And Mark, obviously, this is a guy that maybe some of you might not know. He was a fourth-round pick by the Leafs, but it's just great to see that this guy's having such a phenomenal season overseas, and a guy that we may look to see in a Leafs jersey in the future.
Yeah, like you said, he was a fourth round pick in 2020, so he's still a young goalie, and he's playing just outstanding in the KHL. If you look at the KHL, this is a league that has a lot of talent. This is a strong league just in general overseas. And it's just a lot of ex-NHL players, just high-profile Russian guys, and you get a couple other countries coming in as well. But just these numbers at a young age in such a dominant league is just outstanding. I know the big thing with this is we don't know if he's ever going to come over to North America. You see a lot of the time there could be a Russian prospect that's drafted. He spends his entire career in the KHL. But overall, if this guy can continue his development in the KHL, continue putting up these outstanding numbers, if you haven't seen his highlights, I recommend looking. There's some incredible saves coming from him. This is a guy we could definitely see on maybe the Marlies or the Growlers next season. I don't see him making the first jump straight into the Leafs organization where you have a guy like Wall and Samsonov already just kind of net minding. But this is a guy we could definitely see over in North America within the next 2 years. And he's a guy that projected he could be a backup or a starter in the NHL, depending on how his development continues.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, the KHL isn't a league to glance over. They have a lot of ex-NHL players, a lot of great talent over there, a lot of NHL prospects over there as well. So when you see a goaltender putting up these kind of stats, it kind of makes you wonder, hey, this guy might be able to shut it down in the NHL as well. So hopefully we get to see him next year in preseason or in training camp, and hopefully he's with the Leafs organization next year, whether it's with the Leafs, the Marlies, or the Growlers. We hope to see this guy because he's having a great season, and we wish him the best. We hope he has a great season over there in the KHL. But we're going to get into our next topic of the video here, and that is Wall gets the nod. And as we take a look here at a tweet from Mark Masters, he says Joseph Wall will start Monday against the Blackhawks. Coach Sheldon Keefe confirms. And we also see a line from the practices this morning, as we see is pretty much the same, but just a minor tweak. We see Yarncroke moving up on that second line with Tavares and Nylander, and we see Domi shifting down to play with Nyes and Mitten. And Mark, I think this is just huge for me because I really do think that Domi is that type of player who really needs to headman a line. And I think putting him down there with these two Leafs rookies will really do him the world of good and get his season kicked off the right way.
Well, first, I want to point out the second line. When it was Domi, Tavares, and Nylander, we're seeing a lot of high offense out of this line. They were looking good, but defensively, it was a little scary at times. It wasn't looking amazing. Yarncroke on this third line, we've seen him be great with the two rookies. He was a guy that was responsible defensively. They were a hard forechecking line. They were a line that didn't get trapped too much in the zone, especially the first two games of the season. But I kind of like this. We've seen Yarncroke up with Nylander and Tavares. He's a good two-way guy. He's a guy that can still pot you 20 goals. I think putting up here doesn't take anything from the offense, and obviously it just does add the little more of a defensive edge. You get a guy that's a little more responsible and will hit the corners. And a guy like Domi, you put him on this third line with two rookies, guys that are looking great, and you just give them an incredible playmaker. Domi's a top playmaker in the league. Obviously, he's not going to be a top 5 or a top 10, but his assist numbers have been great throughout the years. He's a guy that can run his own line. So when you put him on this line where the two rookies have shown that they can have a high impact on defense, a line that can go in the corners, and you add this playmaker with a lot of grit to the line, I think it's going to rub off on these two guys. This line's going to be dominant. And overall, these first couple of games are just games to try out, see what happens, see what works. And I think doing the switch is going to benefit both lines. I don't think either line looked terrible, but it does help the needs that both need it.
Yeah, sure. Like they're 2-0 right now, so now is the time to kind of take those little tweaks and try out some new things. And like a lot of our viewers know, I'm a big Max Domi fan, and I really like this switch for him because, like you said, he's playing with these two rookies who really want to prove to everyone that they belong in the NHL. And when you put kind of a seasoned bet of Max Domi, who's kind of looking for a redemption arc himself, down with these type of guys, I think this line is just going to be phenomenal. Obviously, Max Domi is a guy who likes to, like I said, headman a line. He likes to have the puck. He likes to play make. And I think having him down there with a guy like Matthew Nyes, I think is going to be just incredible.
And yeah, and the big thing is, do you look at this? Minton is still on his kind of trial run. We have the 9 games or 2 games in. So we potentially have 7 more games of Minton or a full season of them, depending on what route they go. But having Domi on this line, if he gets a bit of chemistry and we see Minton get sent back down to the juniors, Domi's a guy that can slide straight into the center on this line. You call up a guy like Bobby McMahon, Nick Robertson, Alex Steves, all these guys we've recently talked about. So it wouldn't be in a situation where he goes from the second line straight down to the third with no chemistry. He'd build some chemistry if Minton gets sent down. If he stays up in this line, looks great, you keep it. But like I said, you have this guy that can play center. You have this guy that can slide over and take this role over if they do look at the approach of calling a guy up like Nick Robertson and sending Minton down. So I do like this change. I think both lines are going to benefit. I don't think this is a knock on a guy like Domi at all, sending him down. I think it's just he's more suited for a line where 2 guys are going to be forechecking hard and he can almost open up the ice a little bit to get these passes off or getting opportunities to score.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Well said. I really do like this line, and we're really looking forward to Monday night's game against Chicago. We might get to see this in action. We really hope that they do try these lines out Monday against Chicago. So you're not going to want to miss that game. It's going to be a doozy. Looking to go 3-0. Maybe we'll get a triple hat trick, as we're going to talk about right now. And that is Matthews makes history. And obviously, if you were watching the game last night, you would have seen that Auston Matthews is one of only 5 players in NHL history to record a hat trick in the first 2 games to start a season. The last person to do it was Alex Ovechkin, and then some guys in 1917 who nobody's probably ever heard of. But obviously, this is huge for the Leafs because Auston Matthews is having a hot start with 6 goals already in the first 2 games. I think this is just great for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They need this guy to be at his best, and it looks like he's going to have a career year this year, Mark.
I just want to start by saying this is for everyone. Ovi's an incredible guy. He's best goal scorer of all time, in my opinion. But I'll say this right now: Auston Matthews is the best goal scorer in the NHL. We see this guy just dominating year after year. Everyone said, "Oh, Matthews had a down year last year." 40 goals in a down year is just incredible. We've seen him hit 60 goals. When he hit the 60 goals, he scored his 6 goals in the first 12 games. This guy is 6 goals, 2 games in. He's looking outstanding. He's forechecking hard. He's getting the pucks on the net. And just, I think this is going to be a complete breakout year for Matthews. We're seeing this rejuvenated line where Tyler Bertuzzi is just a pest. He's looking incredible. Marner's up to his own antics, just throwing the puck around, getting Matthews set up, and just causing mayhem for other teams. And just overall, this is just an incredible thing to achieve. You're a guy that's only 1 out of 5 to ever do it. The last guy to do it is the best goal scorer of all time. And I think Matthews has such an incredible career ahead of him, and just it just shows from the 6 goal performance in 2 games.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you. I don't think it's too much of a hot take to say that he's the best goal scorer in the league. I think he has been the best goal scorer in the league over the last 2 years. Obviously, Ovi, the best of all time, in my opinion. But he is getting a bit older, and he is taking a little bit of a step back. Still chasing Gretzky's record, though. I really hope he gets it. But I really do think that Auston Matthews is a generational type goal scorer. I think he's a great player. Not just his shot, he's a great leader as well. A great playmaker. I think he's just an all-around great player, but when it comes to goal scoring, I think he is the best goal scorer in the entire NHL. I think he's going to have a crazy year this year. We might see him pushing towards maybe 70 goals this year if he keeps it up. I think this is really good for the Leafs, and I think it's just a great way to start the season for Toronto and to get this guy to show everybody that he's worth that extension, because obviously he's showing it now. But we're really hoping for the three-peat. We want to see it. Monday night, we want to see the three-peat. That would just be crazy to see 3 hat tricks from Auston Matthews to start the season. But last night, he was going to get the championship belt, the player of the game that they hand out in the locker room, but he did hand it down to Ryan Reaves, and we get a quote from him here saying he's been an unreal addition. Big hits, just kind of getting the momentum back on our son, and obviously he's not afraid to chuck them. It's awesome to see, and I imagine there's going to be a lot more of that throughout the rest of the season. And Mark, this coming from a guy like Auston Matthews talking about more of like a power forward, maybe enforcer type, goon type player, I think this is what the Leafs were missing. And when you hear Auston Matthews say this about Ryan Reaves, it's just huge. I'm just really happy that the team is enjoying the Revo effect.
Yeah, you see this. He's just been a pure monster running around the ice. He's throwing big hits. He's had 2 fights already. Like I said, I'm fully expecting him to have at least 82 fights at this rate of the year. But you look at Reeves and his impact just in the locker room, on the ice with his hits, and just on the bench. He's been a loud presence. He's taken over the music, like I said. And the team looks rejuvenated. They look faster. They look more pesty. They're throwing bigger hits. They have 2 wins. Last night, they scored 7 goals. This team has just felt different than previous years. Obviously, there's a couple holes that need to be not fixed, but just patched up a bit. This goaltending needs to pick up a tiny bit. I think Samsonov has been incredible. But you look at the situation of the teams looking faster, stronger, harder to play against. And it's just an exciting year where you match up a guy like Reeves with just this fast-paced, high-scoring team. You have Auston Matthews has this guy to help him improve his hitting game, the more physicality. And I think it's just a recipe for an incredible season.
Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying the Revo effect in Toronto. I think the guys are really taken after his style of play, his personality, and just going out there. And when they need it, you see people like Matthews, even Nylander, going out there and laying the body now. And I just think it's great to see. I think this is what this Toronto team has been missing, that little gritty edge. And I think they're going to have a great season this year. And obviously, Mark, Revo is a great player, but we just want to say, like, I think without Revo, I don't think this Toronto team would be where they are right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Usually you've seen sometimes, especially the game against Montreal, they came out a little slow and sluggish. Reeves went out, he laid a couple big hits in the first period. He fought Arbor Jackeye. And even farther into the game, he started hitting. You've seen the physicality from the entire team kind of pick up. I'm not just saying Reeves was, oh, he's the only reason why we won that game. But he's the type of guy you've seen the Leafs team from previous years get into a little slump in a game and never really be able to claw themselves back out of it. But when you see a guy going out throwing massive hits, willing to fight people, and just continue this, it sends a shell shock between the entire team, the coaching staff, and it just shows the other team that this team isn't giving up. We're not just going to lie on our backs and play dead. You've seen this team kind of go hard this entire start of the season, and I think it's just going to continue.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. We're only 2 games in. We already got some all-time quotes from Ryan Reeves, so we're really looking to a full season with him on the bench. It's going to be really entertaining, but we're going to get into everybody's favorite topic here, and that is comment of the day. And the comment of the day goes to Mike. He says, maybe this will be Matthews' year. He deserves to do well with his consistent hard work. And Mike, thanks for your support. We always see you commenting down below. We appreciate your comments down in the comments section. But I really think Auston Matthews' year has been every year since he's been in the NHL. What about you, Mer?
I just want to start off by saying this. I'm going to make a couple friends and a couple enemies by doing it. I just want to say, Washington fans, like I said, Ovi's an all-time great. He's the best goal scorer of all time. I think Matthews has taken this over. And Oilers fans, you guys been a little quiet. How's the Oilers doing to start the year? You guys said McDavid was the best goal scorer. It's not even close. Auston Matthews is by far the best. I think he's going to have a career year. He could score 60-plus goals this year, and screw McDavid.
Yeah, I think McDavid is the best player in the NHL by far, but I do think when it comes to goal scoring, Auston Matthews has a little bit of the edge. But we'll have to wait and see what plays out through this season. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed the Leafs, make sure to check this video out. On the video we did on the Leafs, you're going to want to check it out. But I've been KC alongside my co-host Mark Pye. Keep your stick on the ice.